So let's keep discussing patriarchal beauty standards and how they compare to matriarchal ones. This is part 2, and in my last video I discussed objective versus subjective beauty standards. And objective beauty standards under patriarchy really value health and fertility, but the form of health and fertility that is before she has been dominated, you could say, especially under the patriarchy. They're very much about domination. But it also includes the existence of class, which unfortunately, since the white man system is this form of patriarchy that has come out on top, that includes also whiteness. And the way that subjective beauty standards under patriarchy work is that we are programmed under the so-called objective standard. In this capitalistic hierarchical system, propaganda and media is rampant, and it has been for a very long time. So now it will be programmed into us through television, movies, TV shows, even commercials, especially commercials. And in the past, like for example, the Renaissance era, which was still under patriarchy, it was paintings. Granted, back then the standard of beauty was different than the standard today, although it was both under the patriarchal system, because the high-class women were more plump, and the high-class women, high class under this capitalistic patriarchal system, the pyramid system today, is its skinniness. Now, ancient beauty standards, when we were under matriarchy, they did still value health and fertility, as we can see in the Willendorf statue. But I accidentally put class under there because under matriarchy, class is not as important. Because under patriarchy, it's this capitalistic system, and under matriarchy, it is more inclusive community. But what did influence the beauty standards was the idea of the goddess. Back then, they worshipped the goddess. Nowadays, most religions are monotheistic with a male god. And thus, it reinforces, and you could even argue that it created patriarchy. And under subjective beauty standards, it was less about programming and more about recognizing which archetype you are, and recognizing the beauty in the archetype in another woman. So for example, in a goddess-worshipping culture back then, you might be more drawn to one goddess with certain female qualities over another. And in that last video, I discussed why it is not the ultimate insult to say that a woman is not the most objectively beautiful, especially under modern patriarchal standards, because patriarchy has fed us the lie that our worth as women is inherently connected to our beauty. And I want to go further into that and explain exactly how perverse patriarchy and its beauty standards are. If you think about it, patriarchy sets men up as kings to simply inherit a position of entitlement. Under the system of patriarchy, a lot of boys are coddled from childhood. Their entitled behavior is excused, unpunished, while women are held to a much higher standard. From childhood, girls are conditioned to be empathetic, to please men, to be caretaking, but they're also conditioned as well within this modern society to work very, very hard and to go after their careers as well. Boys grow up and they just inherit careers. Not saying that they don't have to work for what they get at all, but even if the man is not the most competent, because of the fact that he is simply male, he is perceived that way and thus is often chosen over more competent female counterparts. This is a system as well that sets men up as the choosers in romantic situations as well. As women are trained so harshly to please the male gaze and please men, we are set up under this system to be in competition with each other in hopes that we will be chosen by a man. But what if I told you that part of the reason that this patriarchal system is so perverse is because it has actually stolen the natural roles from women and projected their natural roles onto us? If you think about it, in nature, we see the exact opposite of the human patriarchal system. The egg is stationary, and if you want to call it the swimmers, for the sake of TikTok and YouTube, they are the ones that do the work to get to the egg. And recent scientific discovery tells us that it's actually not the fastest swimmer that gets to penetrate the egg. The egg specifically chooses which swimmer she is going to accept. If we also look at most species in nature, the male is the one that has to impress the female, and the female is the one that chooses which male she's going to reproduce with. I mean, we've all known about the mating dances among birds, but this is the natural role, the divine role of the feminine. Men were never meant to be the pickers, the choosers. women were. And this is why men project so much of their competition onto us. Men are naturally competitive. They're competitive with other men, and they expect women to be competitive with each other for them. But women, when they're natural in their natural state and not like socialized and brainwashed under patriarchy, they aren't competitive with each other. I had someone say in my comments on YouTube that it's women who compete amongst each other and we're trying to blame it on men. Honey, it is the male system. We're the ones who are brainwashed under that male system. You're projecting your roles onto us. And then, of course, they try to take a dig at my confidence by saying, oh, you're so confidently wrong, when they can't even have the critical thinking and social understanding or emotional intelligence of a fucking turtle. But I digress. And this isn't to say that all men operate under patriarchy. I've made that very, very clear in my content. The divine masculine is at complete odds and is completely different than men who are under patriarchy. The problem is most men are under the entitlement of patriarchy. The divine masculine is very, very rare. And most men will do anything they can to maintain their control over women. This is why more experienced women, both sexually and experientially just in life, very much threaten them. Because it threatens the system that allows them to be lazy and entitled. And it also threatens their access to young women who are still programmed under patriarchy and may have not deconstructed yet. But what they don't realize is that women saying no to them is women standing in their natural divine role, and will help them grow and have more self-respect in the long run. If as a collective of women we say no to patriarchal men, it's gonna force them to grow. They're either going to awaken into the divine masculine, or they're just going to be bred out of existence. And that's truly what's best for everyone.